Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back. Second day trying out my podcast. I think I'm going to call it Here's the Thing. Because, here's the thing. I got some stuff for you. Here's the thing. Warriors aren't going to win it next year. Can be applied to everything. Comment down below for anyone that comments, though, if you have any ideas. Alright? Just go for it. So I thought today suited, since yesterday me and me pops, BJ Hennig, special guest on the podcast, talked about free agency and the big signings so far. I thought it was only fit that we kind of give a little bit of a preview of all the teams for next year, kind of with what they have now. There's still a lot of signing and trading that could happen, but we have a pretty good look at each conference generally, so I thought we could break it down to West and East. We'll go lottery teams from this past year, and for this next year we'll predict the lottery teams, and then we'll predict the lottery teams for the East, and then we'll go 8 seed in detail, 7 seed in detail, etc., up to the 1 seed for predictions, because that'll keep the entertainment kind of going and keep the climax high. We don't want to end with a team that was 1 seed and now we think is going to tank, and we don't really want to do vice versa. We just want to do what I think we can look forward to the rest of the season. So, without further ado, let's go to the lottery for this next year in the Western Conference. Actually, we can even start with the lottery from this past year in the West that we just finished. We had the Suns, Grizzlies, T-Wolves, Pelicans, Lakers, Kings, and Mavs. What do you think of that, camera lady? Good. She says good. By the way, camera credit, I'll say something at the end of the video, but my beautiful younger sister, Sarah Hennig, helping me out with this one. I really appreciate her. So, let's talk about the lottery predictions I have for this coming year. So, first we'll go with the Clippers. They had a pretty bandwagon-ish story this year, if you will, even for a lower seed with, a great team culture, Doc Rivers leading the way, and you had Montrezl Harrell coming up big in games, and Patrick Beverley, his antics, whether you like him or not, definitely helped, definitely got in KD's head. Their first round was interesting against the Warriors nonetheless. They made it a 6-game series, not even the Trailblazers made it a 5-game series, so that was worth something. So they're my first lottery team, though. That's barring they don't sign Kawhi. And I know this may be a little bit of a surprise because, again, they are a little more established, have a little more veteran leadership, kind of, off the bench. If Lou Williams comes back, I can't, top of my head, can't remember if he is or not. But nonetheless, there's a lot of stuff changing. Zion's coming to the Pelicans. I think I have them at 8 right now. We'll explain that in a later video. But Clippers, no Kawhi. You have to think, they ended this year going to the playoffs barely, scaring the Warriors, but it was mostly through Beverly antics, through a high level of effort and an auxiliary effort of coaching by Doc Rivers. It was just putting everything out there, and you can't live off of that in the NBA. You got to get some skill and some shooting, most importantly. They have the coaching, I'll give them that. They have the team culture for sure, but that's a whole lot of effort and buy-in stuff, and it's cute, if you will, and it was a lot of fun to watch, but they need a bigger move, and unless they get Kawhi, I just don't. They re-signed Beverly, we saw recently, but there's just not much juice there. They already let go of Tobias Harris, and so I think they'll be one of the probably higher up, but definitely a lottery team this coming year. That's what I think of the Clippers. So what about the prop on set already breaking? It's her fault. Totally kidding. So what about the T-Wolves? Young talent, Andrew Wiggins, Karl Anthony Towns, Cat. Used to have Jake T, not on the roster right now. Josh Okogie had a great defensive effort against Harden, albeit it was in the regular season, but it was the first time I've ever seen him even close to being stopped. I don't even know if Harden played bad, probably 18, 21 points, but with Harden, that's a great defensive effort, but that's kind of the story of the roster. You have Dario Saric, who's promising, that was involved in that Robert Covington trade where Covington went to the Sixers Covington came to the Timberwolves with Dario Saric from the Sixers that sent someone else back to the Sixers. I can't remember off the top of my head, but that was a pretty good trade, and they got a little bit of shooting with Covington, and Saric is a really long player, kind of one of those stretch fours, I guess you could put it. Not super athletic and can't guard great on the ball, but he's a really good shooter, really good for a kick out, make a three guy. But again, yeah, that roster, it's really young and exciting, but ironically, it doesn't have a ton of juice, kind of like the Clippers. There's not a bunch of moving forward with it. You're not seeing a lot of news about free agents wanting to go sign there. It's mostly just the Timberwolves and the empty promise of young talent, Cat, Andrew Wiggins. What are you doing? What were we talking about again? My camera lady is distracting me. Totally kidding. My attempt at comedy. We'll see if it works. We'll see if people put the laughing emojis in my comments. Alright. Spurs. The San Antonio Spurs. Now, this is an interesting one because they indeed have one of the best organizations in the league still, just with Greg Popovich, leader of the helm, coach. They still have a really good, probably top 20 talent player, DeMar DeRozan, maybe also top 15, 20 in LaMarcus Aldridge. Those are two really good guys. Those are their stars, but other than that, they're kind of building around like point guard DeJounte Murray, trying to get him looks. He's a decent shooter. He can create a little bit, but he's small, so that's not something you want because that can be injury prone. And he at times will kind of be like a traditional guard and kind of attack and really be a floor general and get into the plays. But that's not necessarily always great because, when he's scrawny, a little smaller like that, that makes him injury prone. And you don't want that to happen in this grind of an 82-game season when they don't have a lot of other big-time players for him. Rudy Gay, I forgot to mention. He's a solid player, but you saw what it did for them this year. It got them in that really interesting, actually, first-round series. They went 7 games with Denver, who was a much higher-seeded team. Could have won Game 7 if it weren't for the weird timeout, almost, I guess you could say, controversy or confusion, maybe, with Pop. But, again, as you can see, there's kind of a theme with these teams. Like, a good culture with the Spurs. Again, great coach. But just not a lot of promise for free agents. I guess we'll see coming up, but despite the great organization, there starts to be a little bit of, skepticism of does that really still work? You saw Kawhi, quiet guy, his personality, you would think that fits perfectly into the system, but he ended up getting traded to my sister Sarah's favorite team, the Toronto Raptors, and won a championship with them against the Golden State Warriors. She's a huge Raptors fan. Comment down below any Raptors opinions. She'll comment back with her deep analysis. Yeah, but not a lot of juice, not a lot of free agent action. It's kind of a turning of the guard right now in the NBA, and while these coaches, Doc Rivers, Pop, I absolutely not writing them off. Absolutely, as a basketball fan, they've done so much for the league and so much with their teams and their cultures of their organizations, but again, it doesn't look like this will be the summer for free agents and the Spurs, and again, sometimes kind of the narrative with players can change. Like, people thought LeBron may be hard to play with. I don't know if there's truth to that. But now you see Kawhi. Again, quiet guy. Quiet. Get it? Quiet guy. Low-key personality. Seems like the perfect guy to fit in with the Spurs. Right? Right, Sarah? But, did he? No. He wanted out. He just behaved really oddly, actually, in the whole situation, wanted out. So, maybe the Spurs can get a low seed, but I predict them as an upper lottery team this coming year. All right, let's go with the Grizzlies and Suns to kind of get those over with, because no offense, but there's about nothing there at the Grizzlies. They had Andre Iguodala for a whopping day this summer. Wow, for like 2 hours before they bought him out, and so now he's a free agent, which I totally get. They're saving up their money, want to go big in future summers, but like, it's the Grizzlies. Are a lot of guys really going to be flying to play there? They had one of the best, again, kind of team cultures and team energy with the grit and grind Grizz, with Gasol, Conley, Tony Allen, and all those guys. It was fun to watch. They did some good playoff damage. No championships. I think they got to one conference final against the Spurs. That was pretty impressive. But, yeah, again, it's kind of a changing of the guard for Memphis, too. And you can see that they're clearly kind of tanking, but we don't want to go too far into that. They got Ja Morant. That's Ja Morant out of college. I'm not a huge college basketball guy, so if anyone comments or is offended by my analysis, don't be, because I don't watch him. But he seems like a promising guard, I'd say, just from the wee tidbits I saw of his play. Athletic guy, a little bit on the skinnier side, but he seems strong. A little bit of the style of Russell Westbrook's play, though, and even got a lot of triple-doubles and the like, I believe. But just that right there, him being like Westbrook, I qualify myself as one of the Westbrook, not haters, but doubters. I don't appreciate the way he plays. Seems a little more stat-patty to me. And so just that in itself, that's not really getting you wins. Maybe great stats, but keep in mind, he's not even Westbrook with the experience. He's Westbrook as a rookie. So, yeah, not a ton to look for in the Grizzlies. But they did get a big trade of Mike Conley to the Jazz that sent a couple players to the Grizz. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I should note that type of thing for the next pod, definitely. And that's about it for the Grizzlies, yeah. But watch out for them maybe future years, because it's the Memphis Grizzlies. They don't seem to be someone that's going to get a ton of free agents coming up, but they'll have cap room future summers, maybe even later summers. I don't study the money-wise part a lot, but look out for them in the future maybe. Suns, another team kind of, I guess the two big notable things. They still have Devin Booker, signed him to some huge contract. He's not going anywhere for a while. Really exciting offensive player. Almost never see him on TV, though, because they're garbage. They're not good at all. They don't win a lot of games, but they're fun, sure, but I know they struggle with attendance. It's Phoenix, it's nice there, but the team's bad, so there's got to be plenty of other things to do. They did sign Ricky Rubio, veteran point guard. He'll be fun, but you got two guards and then not a lot else. They do have DeAndre Ayton playing at the big, and he's promising, but again, not a lot of footage that even I got to catch of the Suns last year. We'll see if maybe they can develop a little bit, but I think it's another year of low-key for them and maybe another big draft pick, but we'll see. All right, now I think the two most interesting lottery teams that I'm predicting for next year to end it. Again, these will be in the lottery, in my opinion, but they're the most intriguing. First is OKC. Obviously, Oklahoma City is so polarizing. They got a lot going on, even though they haven't actually even been talked about this much this summer because of all the free agent action. But, Westbrook, Paul George, Steven Adams, Jeremy Grant, the young kid, number 23. What's his name? Moderator? She doesn't know. I forgot the name. But Billy Donovan, head coach. They got a lot going for him, and it's really exciting, but they're so unreliable. That team has juice. They definitely have juice. They have energy. They have energy for them in the regular season, but they just kind of choke in the playoffs. You saw it this year against Portland. They indeed were a lower seed, the Thunder were, but still, you kind of look at that and see, you got Damian Lillard, CJ McCollum, two powerhouse guys for the Blazers, but then you had OKC, you had Russell Westbrook, Mr. Triple-Double Machine, Mr. MVP. You had Paul George, a guy who brought the Pacers back-to-back Eastern Conference Finals a while back, who has a great NBA career, came back from a horrific injury, came back really well from it. You got Steven Adams, a great big. Jeremy Grant, who I think is a great you know, is a great wingman. And again, you had the guy on the bench that I still can't quite remember the name of, but it's on the tip of my tongue. He has young promise. Number 23, I think his name is. Coach Billy Donovan. They got Patrick Patterson this year. That team has juice, but it's just there's something about them. Russell Westbrook doesn't make the most basketball IQ high-level plays late in games, and you get to the playoffs, and he makes the bad decision. He shoots the early three. He makes the wrong pass. There's just things. I went to a game this year for him in OKC, and he's so entertaining to watch, and in person it almost changed my perspective of my kind of doubting of him. But just the mindset sometimes to just come up and jack up a three when you have Paul George, who's a much better three-point shooter. Westbrook is not that good a three-point shooter by stats even. He seems to base everything off stats. I don't know why he doesn't base that one off it, but little shot there. Sorry, Westbrook. You can comment down below. But yeah, just frankly, I hate to say it, guy goes to Oklahoma State, lives in Oklahoma most of the time. Just never a huge fan of it because they just choke at the wrong times. And I feel like with the LeBron Lakers thing being revamped, that's going to be a playoff team, obviously. So someone has to be knocked out. You know, you got the Pelicans revamped. They were a lottery team this year. That's going to change. There's some change of the guard this year, like I said. And I just think OKC's not going to be able to ride that talent to get a low seed this year. I think they'll be a high lottery team. I think I'm going to put them at 10, actually. Because I think at 9, and this may be slightly surprise people, but I think it's going to be the Sacramento Kings. Listen, this is my upset pick, I guess you could say, because I just love De'Aaron Fox. I love the way he plays. And I guess that's why you could say it's just the only really reason I have there. But, you know, breaking today, we do have Willie Cauley-Stein is apparently going to agree to deal with the Golden State Warriors. So that'll just help them out even more. So we'll see how that goes. And so he won't be a King. But De'Aaron Fox, and you have De'Aaron Fox and a bunch of other young guys. You have the Marvin Bagley out of Duke, I believe. Like, a lot of young talent. And there's definitely juice to that team. They hired Luke Walton recently. And I think that team seems to always give 100% effort each night. And it's a solid mix of, in my opinion, just veterans and younger players. But I'm a big fan of De'Aaron Fox. I think guard play is the thing that has already established itself as important in this league, but is even up and coming more. And De'Aaron Fox is just a energetic point guard. You watch interviews of him, he just seems like such a nice kid. He loves basketball, knows so much about it. I think he's going to continue to progress. He's so quick, a good shooter. He checks off all the boxes, basically. And to have that, a young guy, selfless like that, leading the team, doing everything he needs to, a new coach who had a mixed reputation in LA, but, you know, had the whole lead the Warriors to 24 straight wins when Kerr was out. Like, there's something to this team, and maybe I'm just riding a high on it, and it's just going to be an interesting team, but I think it'll be more than an interesting team, like a borderline playoff team this year, and who knows, next season, if they can play the free agent game this coming summer, we'll see what happens. But that gives you your lottery team. So, again, I don't know. I think the Clippers, T-Wolves, Suns, Grizz, Spurs, and Thunder and Kings. I think those 7 are going to be in the lottery, making picks next year with the big old ping pong ball machine. It'll be fun, but won't be as fun as being in the playoffs. So check back in a couple days, and I'll give you guys my Eastern Conference lottery teams. Thank you. Peace.